Hi, I'm JB Wagner, and welcome to my channel, Unconventional Wisdom, where you don't have to like and you don't have to subscribe because I'm not monetizing this channel. And I'm back from a long hiatus and excited to make some more new videos on various topics. The topic for today is what are the three biggest differences between shooting film and shooting digital. I shoot both. I shoot film for fun because I love the old cameras and I love the experience, and I think there's a process that's different that affects results in a positive way. But I have a scanner, a good scanner, and I've got an easy workflow with the scanning, and I have a lab that processes color negative film really inexpensively. So I'm in a situation where it's not very hard or expensive to shoot film. Now I know the biggest difference, one of the biggest differences is the cost of film versus digital. That's not one of my three. That's so obvious. I'm just leaving that one alone. My three are, first, the exposure triangle is not applicable to film the way it is to digital. If you don't know what the exposure triangle is, look it up. But very briefly, it's the interplay between adjustable ISO, shutter speeds, and aperture openings. Makes a triangle. In film, when you choose film, the ISO set, you put it in, you have 36 exposures in a roll of 35, and so you've taken out that creative component of the triangle, and you're left with shutter speed and with aperture, and that's a big deal, a big, big difference. The second one is auto white balance, or the ability to manipulate white balance in camera and in post-processing with digital, whereas film is pre-designed for specific white balance. It's color, in degrees Kelvin. Most films are set for daylight white balance, color films. And in post, if you scan your negatives, you can affect that, but you can't do it in camera, obviously. You're sort of stuck with that daylight balance. The third thing is low light shooting and ISO sensitivity. Film is very, very slow in sensitivity. The film I shoot in color most time is Kodak Color Plus. It's rated at 200. I shoot it at 100. The camera I'm taking this video with, the Canon M6 Mark II, doesn't even go down to 100. And I'll go into that a little bit more, but that's a severe limitation on film that you don't have on digital. So back to the first one. So by eliminating the exposure triangle, I think you actually you can argue that it's a good thing for when you're learning photography to be just focused on shutter speed and aperture, because there's enough there that you need to learn with aperture, about bokeh, about ultimate sharpness in lens openings, about depth of field, and with shutter speed, about freezing action, about when to use a tripod, not use a tripod, how low you can go handheld with whatever your ISO is on your film. You learn all that. And then you can add the ISO flexibility of digital to that mix and move to the exposure triangle and take another creative step forward. That's one of the great things about digital. So with white balance, film comes with a specific color temperature, and you can't change that. When you scan the film, you can affect white balance afterwards like you do with digital, but you can't do it in camera. So if you're working in camera with JPEG output right in and out of camera, you can have a tremendous degree of flexibility in adjusting for the color temperature of light that you're working with naturally, whatever that light is. And that's a huge benefit of digital. And auto white balance is often, it's an intelligent tool for judging white balance using the technology built in the camera as well. So these things don't exist. In film, we used to have daylight and tungsten. That was it, basically. And it was particularly difficult if you're working with transparency film, because you really had no manipulation after you shot the film. Your image was the film itself after it was developed, and that was that. So that's it's a huge stride forward to be able to have white balance manipulation, and the low light sensitivity is massively better with digital. With film, you can push some films or buy a few that are 800 ISO. I mean, which is nothing in digital. I mean, I can shoot at 12,800, let alone 800. And with my post-processing, I can get very acceptable images from that high of an ISO. And that just gives you so much more flexibility in shooting in low light than you have with film, that it's not, to me, it's not even worth bothering with film in low light. So all my film stuff shot in daylight, outdoors mostly, of people and street scenes and some scenery and things that are just daylight, because the low light sensitivity is just not there. So there are many other differences, but those are the three biggest differences in my mind between film and digital. I like shooting film as well as digital, not because of the look, but I like the limitations to force me to be creative within those limitations, and I enjoy the old cameras. And I don't shoot autofocus with film. I can't stand those cameras. The viewfinders are horrible. You know, I go back to where it's manual focus only for sure, because I enjoy it. I think learning how to focus helps learn how to do composition. Anyway, those are just some thoughts I had on broad brushstroke thoughts I had on digital versus film. I'm enjoying both, and I hope that you enjoy both as well. Thanks for watching.